Everybody needs to find an outlet for their stress relief. And if you don't have an outlet for your stress relief, you're probably ignoring the fact that you have this stress in the first place.
Mark, I heard you're quite the competitor in a big climb. What brings you out here to Chicago? What's going on? And what was this race all about?
Well, the race was a climb to raise awareness for a fundraiser. So I actually did the front part of the fundraiser, which was the first 10 flights of stairs against a survivor. So they wanted to pit somebody local, somebody in a uniform, against a survivor.
So let's talk about the conference that you're out here for.
Okay.
What is COPS for people who have never heard of it before?
COPS is probably at the biggest level an umbrella organization that takes care of fallen officers' families, the needs, and coworkers for that matter, the needs of people that are left behind after tragedy has happened in their life. I've been really involved in Illinois COPS for about 10 years, so I've lost 4 friends now on duty. And probably the closest of my friends we lost in '06, and in '07 I got involved with COPS, and we do a fundraiser. Illinois COPS does a fundraiser every year where we ride our bikes from St. Louis to Chicago, bicycles, and we raise money for the Illinois COPS organization. I got involved with that ride in '07, and I've been on the ride every year except for 1 or 2 maybe since then, and I've grown. That the COPS bike ride is really kind of an amazing snapshot of Illinois COPS. So some of them don't have any people that they've lost in their family or in their lives, but they're out doing the ride because it's the right thing to do. We have mothers and fathers of fallen officers that ride with us. Some of them that are into their late 60s, which is awesome because we always battle. It's a 400-mile ride, and we always battle with people who say, I can't do 400 miles, and I let them know, well, we've got a mom of a fallen trooper that's riding with us, and she turned 67 this year, so what do you got?
Wow.
So it's a great organization, but that bike ride is really a true snapshot of what Illinois COPS is to me.
Let's talk a little bit about resiliency. Cops are pretty resilient, but in a lot of cases they'll bottle things up. You've
Correct.
lost a number of friends. How do you, for guys who are watching this, who are in departments across the country right now, who may have also lost friends, what words of advice can you give of how to get through the process?
Well, I think it's important first to say that everybody deals with things in a different way, right? I think even to assume that all cops will bottle things up or all cops act in a certain way isn't really accurate, because we're all human beings and we all have different breaking points. What I'd say is to cling to your friends. So I will tell you what's worked for me in the past was being able to talk to your friends about similar feelings. And cops don't talk very well about feelings typically, but being in an environment that is not threatening and isn't tied to work necessarily, so there's not a work ramification, but you can sit down and talk to a buddy, maybe over a beer. I think that's really important. The more we talk through things, the more we process maybe truly how they really impact who we are.
Tell me a little bit about some of the friends that you lost.
Well, I've lost, so like I said, I've lost 4 friends, 2 of which died in car wrecks on the job, and I've lost 2 friends that have been shot to death. So I kind of a morbid cop sense of humor, but I remind people not to be my friend because I've had 4 friends that have passed. So they came from all cross sections. One of my friends who died was an older deputy. He'd retired as a school teacher and always wanted to be a cop. So he went back to become a sheriff's deputy, and he was a warrant service deputy for, I don't know, probably a decade. Was on a warrant transport and got shot to death by the guy he was transporting. They were driving down the interstate. The guy hit him with his own flashlight that he somehow got a hold of in the car. They drove off the road. The deputy was either knocked unconscious or was incapable of protecting himself at that point. He took his weapon and killed him with it. I lost a friend that I worked with in investigations, which was the majority of my career, in '06 in a car wreck. He'd been working, he was on, I don't know, 24 hours plus of working at the time on a case and was headed home. And best I can tell was probably tired and just pulled out in front of a car, and that was it. And then I had another friend who was a sheriff's deputy, who was a retired trooper, went back to be a sheriff's deputy, and he was shot to death in a, he was on his way to what turned out to be a home invasion, but he didn't get that call. He didn't really know what he was rolling into at the time. And the suspects in the home invasion were coming towards him. He identified them as he was coming past them, and they squeezed off a couple of lucky rounds that that's not a round that a police officer would ever be able to get off on somebody, but these guys got a couple of rounds off on him, went through the car, hit him, and he died later on. So, and then we just lost a trooper last year that was a buddy of mine in a car wreck.
In a crash as well?
Mm-hmm, car wreck.
When you think about where we are in society these days, we see a lot of civil unrest.
Mm-hmm.
We hear a lot of cops all across the country who will tell you down to the minute how long they have left before they can retire. Mm-hmm. For young guys who are thinking about coming in and becoming a police officer, what can you tell them?
That'd be a lot, I think, probably right now. My little brother's a trooper now, so I'm trying to think back of what we talk about, but I think a lot of it is to find an outlet for your stress, because there is a lot of stress. And I think, again, kind of going back to culture a little bit, it's easy to say that we're not affected by stress because that's a macho thing to say, and that's what people expect us to say, and bluntly, that's what I've said for a long time. I get it. But I think everybody needs to find an outlet for their stress relief. And if you don't have an outlet for your stress relief, you're probably ignoring the fact that you have this stress in the first place.
No doubt. Yeah. Brother, thank you so much for coming on the
you.
show. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks for taking the 2 minutes it's going to take you to watch, share. Thanks for watching. God bless America.